Hi, my name is Steve Connolly, Superintendent of Schools for MSAD 60. Thanks for joining us tonight. What we are doing is a Noble Middle School Facility Forum. This is the last of the forums that we're doing this school year. We started in Lebanon, moved to Huzzy, and then we went to North Berwick Elementary School. So we're going to be talking to you tonight about Phase 3. We've already done some work around the school to take this 1967 facility, 52 years of age, and bring it up to do some more code work, and we're going to do some improvements to the schools so that the plan is that this building has an additional 30 years of life to it so that it continues to be a great investment for the communities. I'd like to take just a minute and introduce some of the folks who are here this evening. We have Denise Van Kampen, who is a business manager. These folks are part of the Facilities and Finance Subcommittee. We have Ron Delisle, who is from Facilities and Maintenance. We have Tyler Windsor, who is an administrator at the high school. We have Mike Roberts, who is principal of the middle school. Neil Raposa is from Civil Consultants. He is our, I guess we'll say, consultant. And the architect, well, I don't know what you refer to that. What? Designer, we like that word. And we have Joanne Potter representing Lebanon. From the school board, we have Lynn Manley, who represents North Berwick. And we have Deb, who's from the middle school, who's here to check out some of the plans as well. So I'm going to get this going. We're going to start off first with an interior tour that's going to be led by Mike Roberts. So, Mike, I think maybe if we start in some of the newer areas and show people what we've done to say that this, the room that we're in right now, the Professional Development Center, is part of the old shop, was it?
Yeah,
used to have garage doors here.
Whether it was Jim Webster or Sam Torrey, this would have been Volk or part of the garage back in the 70s. Yeah. A lot has changed.
Yeah, so this does not look like we're in a facility that is 52 years of age. It's in a lot better shape than I am. So, Mike, why don't you do me a favor? Why don't you do me a favor and take on some of this stuff for us?
Before I hand it over to Neil, Mr. Connolly is right. This is, I double-checked with Kevin Moore, this is a 1967 building. And obviously, if you look around, this is not a 1967 room, but the expectation is to help the students of the middle school have another 40 or 50 years plus of positive experiences. And the challenge that we all have is not only the big changes and the exciting changes that we'll be talking about throughout the evening in the tour, but also is the importance of the little things, whether it be the quality of the air or some of the other classrooms, and putting bells and whistles and a lot of academic value to the campus, outside and inside, but also making sure that any area a student is in, everything from the nurse or to the new SRO or some of the older rooms that we have seen also get some much needed TLC. So there's a lot to this. And we've already made some incredible improvements thanks to the support of the towns and the school board. Just by looking around these rooms, you can see that. So I don't know how much you'll see on camera. Neil can talk us through some of the exciting designs. We've had a lot of collaboration, also making sure that we're up to code and talking to the right people for all of our areas. We're calling it kind of up to Phase 3 in the plans. A lot of exciting stuff, especially if you're a Noble grad, back when this was the high school. In a lot of ways, the facilities already have better things in place now than they did when I was here and we were starting in the 90s and the 2000s. But a lot more work to come, and for future students, a pretty exciting place. And also, just to wrap it up, even some of these rooms back here now are more community rooms where it's not just where the students are here, but it's also where the three towns come together, or training can occur for other teachers and other school districts. So it's exciting, but we still need some help. So you want to go to Neil?
We'll do the walk around first.
Okay.
Interior walk around first before we get to the Neil.
Oh, okay.
Sound good?
Yep.
All right. We're going to be a portable show. We're going to take this one
one with you as told. All want to go on to this?
Yep, so as Mike started to talk about, this room is the Professional Development Center, and it's an air-conditioned facility, so it's capable of supporting professional development year-round for staff. It's also available for any work groups that come in here, whether it's student groups, so forth. We hold skillful teacher training courses. We hold a lot of large group trainings in here, whether it's for educational technicians, for staff members, so forth, and we'll offer in-district courses in this facility as well. So let's take a little quick walk next door.
Go in there first and I'll open it.
Okay.
Try to keep the keys out of you.
So this particular room was between the garage and the auto shop and the original tech and industrial arts shop. This was a glassed-in walled space, and it had, it was kind of like almost like a planning room, felt more like a greenhouse. And so what we have done here is we have created a conference space for the middle school, because their space prior to this that they could use for a dedicated conference room was in the main office area. We'll get a look at that. I'm going to say, Mike, what do you think the dimensions of that room would be, where the table is?
I don't know, maybe 8 by 11, 10
Okay,
by 12.
okay, so not much of an opportunity. In this room just today, we had several IEP meetings for special education. We had Team Castle meeting. We had the District Evaluation Steering Committee meeting, and we had an A-team meeting here just this morning. So hosting a lot of district work. Great to get people into this facility. All the cabinetry and so forth, and the fridge and the micro and the stove, that's because when we're hosting groups, we can keep people right here. They can store their goods and have access to it throughout the day, because we have a lot of groups that are here for an entire day, particularly in the summertime. So we wanted to make sure they have good access to personal comfort. We going down to Ian's room?
Sure.
Okay. And are you comfortable with this, or do you want me to hand you the mic?
Oh, you both, won't
What
you?
do you? Okay.
I'll
Just
take
want to
it.
make sure you're comfortable.
Yeah, I'm good. You go.
So you're going to hit the office areas
Yeah,
and so
maybe the
forth.
music playing or something.
Nice, okay. So this is an office space for the secretary of the Professional Development Center. Ann Karavich works out of this space. She has enough room in here to take care of all the business. She oversees the sign-outs of the conference room. She oversees the coordination of the PDC year-round for us. And again, this is another air-conditioned space. Next door, we have a storage facility on the other side of this door that leads to a set of double doors. Most of our technology that we take in, I can't even, I think we have probably 1,800 plus pieces of technology hardware that are collected from students that go in here, and there's a workstation in there, and there's rehab work, there's cleanup, and there's checking to make sure that the equipment is working correctly, so that's what happens in there. Plus, our assistant athletic director has an office in here. He operates primarily out of this school and then also goes to the high school. So now we're going to take a walk through the other side of this, and we're going to come into our tech space. Who's the slimy creature? Yes, Gollum. Gollum's. Oh, Schmeagol. Schmeagol, yeah, that's it. Come on in. Don't be shy, come on over, give it a try. I'm sure you lost, Ron, but we'll take care of you. This space is our STEM classroom, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It involves the design process. We have great access to robotics for students. As the camera was panning, you might have caught some rockets there that one of our staff members here, Don Pete, I think, are these Don's monstrosities that he's probably reached orbit with? Yeah, so we'd like to get into a little bit of that as well. Some really interesting designs back there. But Amy Becker's classroom here, and we have the coding and other pieces that take place in this room. So what is 3D printing as well. Yep, now we're going to take a little tour around the corner and go into spare classroom space. So this is a pretty large space. This used to be part of the industrial arts program, and this is our literacy support program that we have in here. Plus there are some other groups that come in to use it for what we have called Squire time during the day. There's also a group, I think the phys ed folks, when they're cycling out and they're doing some work with their kids on some of the reporting that students are doing, and also doing some of the background work. So physical education is no longer just you're in a gym doing the actual activity, but you're actually delving into the kinesiology of it, what's going on behind the scenes in the human body. So this is quite a nice classroom space for lots of uses, and it can be signed out as well if people need it for other things.
Press pause or just keep walking down to the main office?
We're going to go take a walk down to the main office, and you're going to talk about what's going on down there.
Let's keep walking and talking. So we're good as is?
Be nice.
Can I run down and make sure that is good? I just want to... In this area, you can already tell of the improvements that have been made in terms of the student work on display, the lobby screen, kind of the waiting area for parents or students. What we want to do is really take our main office area and turn it into almost the central hub of the school, which would include taking what has been for 52 years the nurse's station over there and looking into moving the nurse in this area. We also, with currently Officer Fogg and our SRO, moving our SRO in this area. We actually want to expand the greeting area when parents come in, and now more than ever, trying to make sure we have our security in place. We're looking at making this area larger, and again, these will be on Neil will show on the designs, but making it to make sure any guest or visitor we have, we welcome them, but also there's some things that are put in place to make sure all of our visitors we're in good hands, and safety is always number one. So there's going to be an upgrade here, and then the plans, I don't know if we'll walk through all of this, but like I said, we want this main area to contain the office area where we greet our parents and families, as well as administration, as well as our school resource officer, as well as our guidance, and that also includes the school nurse, trying to make this one area safe for kids, but also those major components, which is a little bit nicer than where the nurse has been for the last 5 decades. We want to make that a healthy experience, obviously, for our kids. This used to be guidance right here in the front a long, long time ago, but come on in. Am I still on? Okay. So just kind of walking and talking. So a very kind of an abbreviated area for parents to come in and pick up their student in here or ask questions. Sometimes not overly private. We have 2 very busy ladies here on the phones all day long, so with printing, we make good use of it, but obviously expanding the size gives us more opportunities to do all sorts of things. But this is where everything happens. And then down kind of our small hallway, we have our supply room and the admin offices as you pan the other side. So coming down here to the principal's office, and we just want to make this area into all those things that I said. The plan is to make sure students can come down here, and we know it's guidance support, it's nurse support, it's SRO support, and the privacy of getting away from class if you have to meet with the SRO or meet with guidance. And we're just trying to make this area into more office space. A very small break room to your left, and light switch, yes, obviously. And then finally down here is just the 2 guidance, currently our guidance gals, and I guess behind you would just be another break room that sometimes we do lunch groups and support if we have a need for a meeting room. That's kind of a potpourri of what we need. And we're just going to expand all this. So if you've seen this, hopefully it makes sense what I'm trying to say, just doubling the size of this and having all those areas come this way and having a really nice central hub of all those people. All the way through, let's go towards the cafeteria and the music area. No, I tried. Keep going. And coming into the cafeteria, we do have a few guests here, so I'm just waiting for everyone to arrive. And Neil or Mr. Connolly, if you need to add as I'm talking about this area, please add. But here, the cafeteria has been upgraded in terms of, the painting and the roof work. And in the kitchen, there's been a lot of things done to make sure that our nutrition stays where it needs to be. We've had that stage for, I think that's been here all the way through, since 1967. And then in there, which I don't know if we're going to go in there, that's been the band room. I don't know who was before Ralph Vos and Marilyn Batchelder, and we've had a few great people back there, but our music world continues to expand. And if you're ever here and you're trying to enjoy chorus at the same time, let's say the percussion is going on, chorus can be a tricky place. So one of our upgrades is to make sure we're gaining space, practice rooms, and some soundproof walls to make both areas of the world of music be successful, whether you're in band or chorus. Yes. Yep. Yes. Is that? Ooh. Is that on? Oh, Ron's got the key. I'm assuming you can hear any whispering that I do, so I'm trying to be careful. And as you can tell, this is stuff where, we're now back to 530, 540 students. There was a time we were 1,000 when we were high school, but you can see we need more space and more, a little bit of everything. You want to take this one? Change it up.
Okay, let's swap. Mike needs a break. All right, so this is the chorus room. The chorus from the adjoining room here is the band room, so it has never really been terribly sufficient space for that. We've done some sound deadening with the wall, but we really need to ramp up the ability to segregate the two areas as far as sound is concerned. This room, at the start of the school year and at the end of the school year, is not usable. We have to shut it down due to heat. We do the same with the band room because the sun comes around here and curtains or no curtains, it just bakes on these back walls in this particular section. So Ms. Frazier and Ms. Chung will be likely using space down at the PDC where we started and at the conference room that's down there. So they're very good about being flexible. Plus it's air conditioned down there, so I haven't heard any complaints about it. Have you?
No, I've not.
All right, great. So let's see. We're going to take a walk to
Up into the library?
library's great. Yep, let's do that. I want to know. I want to see this when this is opened up. I want to see the time capsule.
I know. Who knows what lies beneath?
Oh, we didn't do the 21st Learning, the 21st Learning Center.
Oh, that's, yeah. Yeah, we could analyze things over there.
You got a light in here?
Yeah, a couple.
Okay. So this is the Noble Middle School Library. It's a very traditional setup for a library, used as a meeting space for teachers on their staff meeting days. And it's also, as you can see, lined with books everywhere you can see. So what we're talking about in this space is adding in a maker space, adding in some small conference rooms, adding in a for people to work in response to intervention programs. We're also talking about adding in a production studio space with a green screen here. So we're looking to evolve the library into a contemporary 21st century space that's going to fit better what kids of today need in order for their future careers. Well, I think these central pods too. We said to people, we're going to do those. Yeah, locker rooms, but there's kids in there right now, so this is cool stuff. I like these.
Yeah, Legos. Yeah, all the floors are the same, so you can pick this one and we can go down.
Yeah, want to go down? Want to go right here?
Yeah, oh, I think so, yeah.
Somebody have a key to get me into Ms. Dyer's room? So we have 3 identical floors. What are they, hexagonal, octagonal, something? I didn't count the sides, yes. So each of these have a central pod area, and then they have classrooms surrounding. The classrooms vary quite a bit in size. For instance, some of these corner classrooms are, at the very edges, are for special education programming or a math lab, or more literacy support. Could be there's a case manager for special education there as well. This is a typical look at a faculty restroom here on this side. It's nothing that you'd say that's a great facility. And if you want to come down in here just a little bit, Terry, this is very typical of the pod space. I would say that the center pods, they're all broken up into really small areas. Not a lot of functionality to them. This is space for a social worker, and it's probably, I'm going to say it's maybe 80 degrees in here right now. Sound about right?
Yeah, a little warm.
Yeah, 80, 82, somewhere in there. So that's one of the issues that we have with the pods all the way through, is that the center areas don't have outside window access, and they really seem to be heating up on us.
All our rooms are used. We're at capacity.
Yeah, which sometimes that doesn't make sense to people, because they say, wait a minute, you had 1,000 students, but now you say you got 530, how can you be at capacity? It's called missing, what was it, 14 portables here at one point?
Yeah. Well, we had out front, out back, I think it was
Yes.
somewhere around that 12 to 14 range, yeah.
9 portables? Okay, so so one of the comments that Mr. Roberts made was about that our space is well used and we're at capacity pretty much there. And so somebody might say, wait a minute, you have 530 students projected for the school, and at one point as a high school, much larger bodies, this held 1,000 students. Not quite. It held 1,000 students with 9 portables outside every direction that you looked. And I do remember one time way back coming, I don't know why I was visiting Noble as a younger educator, but I remember seeing it and thinking, this is Portable City. It was amazing to see that number of portables outside of a building. And the other thing that didn't exist at the time there were no response to intervention programs. There were typically no lit labs, no math labs, so forth, to help support students who are struggling and need that extra support. So we've really done quite a bit over the decades to take education to the level of customization, personalization for needs. We meet the masses through the curriculum and then customize beyond that for our individual student needs. Sure.
Yeah, there's no reason to go out back right that way. Nope. Let's head on down.
So we didn't hit the locker rooms, and we didn't hit the 21st century. That's the last 2 pieces inside, right?
Yes.
And we didn't take a quick outside tour, which is the Mr. Moore part.
And then, yeah, I don't think we'll be able to go into
Why
the.
don't we take a step outside? We'll let Kevin do his piece,
Okay.
and then we'll let folks know that we're going to come back in and finish up 2 more spaces.
Yeah. I don't know if he knows it. We're going to hand the mic over to Kevin Moore. We're going to go outside. And we still have a couple more things to show you inside, but we're going to zip outside, and Kevin's going to talk about a couple of things, probably starting with.
So, as you look at the front of the building, this was all done, renovated approximately 2010. It used to be the old aluminum framed single pane windows. So what we did was, to make it more efficient, we obviously took all that out and replaced it with a brand new 2x6 construction, the brand new windows you see and the siding you see. This part of the building right here, involved with phase 3 of the renovation, calls for, I don't know if you can really kind of see it, but is to bring the lower part of the office area out to match the library section that kind of overhangs, to make it completely flush and give more room for the office area. Also, to extend the office this way, so these entry doors here will now be where this set of windows is over here in this alcove area. And extend the entry out, so it'll be like a step-in kind of walk-in entrance, kind of like what we have here, but just a little bit more over on this side. We just go right around? Yep, we'll just continue right around the building.
Our Building Pride Day, I don't think people realize, we even have an outdoor classroom here that we hope to increase in use. And this is a great example of the last couple of years we've done a Building Pride Day, and Rebecca Manning and others brought in a lot of people in our area and community and really upgrade the campus. We can't do it alone. So just another positive look of all of a sudden there's 22 students out there, doing a reading with a couple of teachers out there. Just a small example. You see some of the student work that has been here over the last couple of years. So just like I talked about at the beginning, trying to make sure that the big ticket items are being upgraded, and also trying to make sure we value all the small pieces along the way. And that's a pretty neat thing that better find some use pretty soon. That'll make me happy. Did I? No.
I think it was last Thursday. There was a group out there using it. When I drove in, there were 2 chickens right around.
Well, it's a start. That's a start.
Next door to us. Yeah.
Wait a second.
We collect eggs from them.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Again, this is the other end of the main entrance in the office area. That'll all be extended and all renovated to match that side. So everything kind of look like it's supposed to be there, all in one piece. Still be an entrance. Yep. That's where we bring kids, students in through when we do morning drop off. Yep. Again, the front of the calf is something we did in 2011. Same type thing we did at the main entrance. It was the same type construction. So we did the same thing just for energy efficiency reasons and aesthetics. And again, on the back side of the building, we're on the back wing of the music and calf room. Again, that wall was reconstructed somewhere in the 2012, 2013 timeframe. Again, that'll be part of the renovation to eliminate those windows. And I think, I don't know if anybody mentioned it, but also that room in that area kind of serves off the same air handler unit as the cafeteria. So that's one of the reasons for the heating problems in there, because the cafeteria is a bigger area, so it's always calling for heat, while that room gets over hot or too much heat because the calf's always calling for it. So the idea is to separate those two areas with two different air handling units. Back in 2008, we had a generator installed. Primarily two reasons. The first reason was to be able to continue to have school in the event of power loss. And the second reason was we went in with the town of Berwick and to serve as a shelter for York County in case of any emergency situations. And again, it's part of the upgrade we did for the back wing a couple years ago as far as, renovating the old industrial art room area. This is the exterior wall now compared to what used to be here was the aluminum frame, single pane windows, kind of like the rest of the building. It's made a big difference.
Galusha's? Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's go down. Thank you, sir. So the room that we're in right now is called L21. It's Literacy for the 21st Century. Students, so Ms. Galusha, Elise Galusha, and Marty Roberts, they run this program. And what happens in here is it runs as part of the global. So kids are just like an art, a music, a physical education. Kids rotate into the room. And Elise does model literacy instruction. And then there are teachers who can come in and observe what's going on here. Then Elise will go out and do some coaching, do some model teaching with their students as well. And then we'll do a gradual release of that work. So we're pushing the work from here out into the classrooms. This is just on the other side of the PDC, the Professional Development Center. So we've got a nice little centralized hub of some strong leadership for the school. We're going to look at maybe one more space. We're going to see if a locker room is available. We'll see. This evening activity.
Go to the boys? All right, let's go to the lads.
I'll wait here, let you go in.
Yes. Where's Mr. Doyle? He might have the key that I don't.
Uh-huh. So it was open to start with?
We're clear.
Was it open? Oh,
All are welcome. Yeeks. All right, then you say, oh, I'll keep them out here.
thank you. So to noble grads, this space might look a little familiar. It's a typical locker room in an older facility. What we're looking to do here is, because this was designed as a high school locker space all the way through, it has the big shower pods in it. It also has the gang toilets, and it has visitor girls, visitor guys, home girls. And we're going to be honest with you that in today's time frame, most kids who come here do not take showers after their sports. They get in the car and they go home, or they don't take the time out of their schedule to take a shower and go back to class. Would that be fairly true, Ms. Butler? Would you? No, 3 minutes isn't going to do it. So what we're doing is reducing some of the numbers of shower facilities, removing the gang approach to that. We're also removing, we're reconfiguring the bathroom spaces, and then we're going to cut down the number of locker rooms that are separated out. We technically have 5 games in the winter for boys and 5 games in the winter for girls that we need visiting locker rooms. So what's a configuration for a middle school that you're going to build and use space for 10 games in an entire school year? Because the spring sports, they get off and head to the fields. The fall sports, they get off and head to the fields. They're not using the facility. The only time we need that many, the locker rooms period, is when we have the basketball season, and then maybe potentially in the future volleyball season, if some people get their way. I can see that one coming to us. So what we're looking to do also is, in the middle of these sections, is to open up a fitness space that will have nice treadmill equipment in there, some of the bikes as well, the recumbent bikes. And then we're looking to do a rehab of the Mr. Sprague's gym space, office space, Ms. Good's office space, and to allow some vision out into the gymnasium from those office areas. Separate area for referees and so forth to be able to change into their necessary garb, and to also to shower up. So we've got some pretty interesting plans for the total run of the space. See. So we're going to move right into the, Mike, are we doing the brief history, or did you already hit that? I forget.
I hit it.
You did. Okay, so we're going to move right into Neil Raposa. All right, so the next phase is we're going to be showing you some diagrams. I'm going to reintroduce Neil Raposa, who is from Civil Consultants. Neil, she's asking that we hold on to the mic.
All right. Hi, as Steve said, my name is Neil Raposa. I'm with Civil Consultants. Our firm has been working with SAD 60 ever since I've come on board with the firm, doing a lot of the planning, both civil, structural, layouts of the spaces in the school, any new structures that have been put up. We've been involved with the majority of those. So when they approached me to start working on a lot of the improvements in the middle school, I was very excited. Both my kids actually come through here, so it hits home with me. And so I'm going to present a little bit of the plans that we have put together to reutilize a lot of the space in this school. As they have already mentioned, it's not that the school is in bad shape. It's just that a lot of the uses in this school no longer match what they were when it was conceived and as it's grown through the years. So we'll start out with the office area here. As they have described, it's very cramped in the office as it's constituted now. There's a lot of different uses in that small space, and there's also some uses that probably should be in this space but haven't been able to make their way in there just due to space concerns, So In this plan here, we'll start right from the entrance. The current entrance is in this section right through here. So the plan would be, once we bump out that area underneath the library that Kevin was discussing earlier, we would reuse this space as additional office spaces, conference space, some other uses on that other end here. But we would relocate the actual entrance right up against the building on this side and create ourselves a secure man trap, so we'd be able to, more efficiently regulate who's entering and exiting the building there. This would all be upgraded to, secure glass and, lockdown procedure, so we'd be able to bring it up to code with all the new buildings and schools that are going into use today. The area for the receptionists here and the secretaries, we'd be making that more of an open area that had the ability to be closed off with some sliding glass doors and countertops here. So they'd be able to separate themselves from the noise and the distraction while still having the option to being open for interaction with parents and students and the such when it was required. We'll start off with your offices here. The vice principal and principal's offices, as they are now, don't have a great visibility to anyone entering and exiting the building. So what we've done is we've put those over on the corner here, so they can monitor, more closely what's actually going and the comings and goings of the school. We've added some conference areas that are currently unavailable in the office areas. We've renovated some of the guidance offices, so now everyone can work, a little closer together and be more of a centralized unit here. Coming through, we've relocated the whole nurses station from that center hub that was off in the classrooms and brought it into this central office area and made it a more usable, more efficient space in with everybody else here. We've also relocated the SRO office to this corner on this side. And that helps with several things. They have more access to see what's going on, and they also have a little more control over this entrance area, which obviously doesn't have that same level of security, so he can more efficiently manage that on that side. And let's see what else. As Kevin indicated, this whole wall on this section, it's all going to be upgraded to a more efficient system. Right now it's just the glass, aluminum frame, but we're going to be upgrading that to match the rest of the facade on this side of the building.
It helps with the privacy.
Yeah, and as far as the privacy portion of it, you have a little bit more privacy if there's an issue with parents and kids, and meeting with the SRO officer up over in this section. We have a dedicated waiting room that will serve for the majority. We'll have one waiting area that serves the nurse and the SRO, another waiting area that serves guidance. So not everyone has to be commingling. They can go to where they need to be and have that be used for the intended purpose. Is there anything that you want me to address on that one? No? Okay. All right. And next, this is a possible layout for renovated library makerspace area that's currently the library and several resource offices that are utilized on that second floor. With this plan as we're shown here, we're showing that media room, the green screen room that Steve had talked about earlier. So it's something where they can go in and do actual production of videos and projects, and have that be a little bit more professional and get them into the skills that they'll need if they're ever going to go into something like that. And it's also just a fun place to play around and kind of get your feet wet with a lot of the technology nowadays. Small meeting room, just for one-on-one, if we need any one-on-one time for teaching or small group activities. A lot of this is going to be more of a free-form reading area and book storage, something a little less rigid than is in place now. All of this will most likely end up getting reviewed and reworked a few times, so we know we're taking everybody's needs into account as far as the library space and the storage and all of that. We're currently looking at, in the library here, this portion here is where it's walled off now, and it goes into the former superintendent's space way back in the day. And now we're proposing that we repurpose all of this area to house the new maker space here with a collapsible wall system that will separate that from the library space in case there's a difference in volume of the activities that are going to be going on here. We want to be able to make sure everyone can do what they need to do and not be disturbed by another activity going on. We have 2 offices that we're going to retain up here. Currently there's a hatch that leads to the roof. It's kind of tucked into one of the offices in there, and it's, I wouldn't say it's secure, but what we're going to try and do now is to actually bring that into its own small entrance area to have a locked entrance and have that a little more regulated now.
What is really exciting about this whole space is now, for the most part, if one class comes down to use the library is mostly shut down, and we're literacy pushing. Our library is used pretty much from the start of the day till the end. But this would allow, if you can just picture it, almost like a classroom to come in and use the makerspace room, maybe even like an author visit going on with 50 or 60 kids here, and at the same time, maybe a group of 4 or 6 in the green room, making a video or doing something. So just thinking ahead, not only would just this be something to upgrade, but the fact that you could walk in and see possibly 2, 2.5, or 3 classes engaged, or a full team doing something in the middle of the pod, I guess, and at the same time still not closing down certain rooms so a teacher could come in and do this and this. So just trying to think of how can we have multiple uses going on concurrently in the learning commons. So we're excited about all this stuff, but in terms of hopefully pure student engagement, this really could be something special for decades.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, and as a bonus here also, there's quite a bit of unused space right now over in this stairwell, and this is just open to the stair, which is also something we want to try and eliminate in the future with with the school-age kids here. So we're going to bring the walls right up to that, and it creates a more secure, safer area for that stairwell, and we get the bonus of getting some usable space out of that. So we'll move on to this is the band and calf area. That existing stage that is there now, it's really underutilized. I'm sure Mike could speak to that as well. It's for the most part, when I've seen it, it's been used as bag storage. A lot of backpacks get thrown up there when the kids go into the band rooms or the calf. So what we're proposing to do is to eliminate that stage altogether and rework those the partitions in there to get some more usable space and space that is needed, as opposed to something that gets sparsely used and really is taking up quite a chunk of space in this wing of the school. So what we have proposed here is to make this an oversized corridor coming through that would service just the band and chorus areas, and any of these walls that you see here, the thicker walls with the dashed lines, those are going to be sound attenuating walls that will block the noise coming from each of these rooms, so they can all be used for their purpose they were desired, and everyone won't have to play the same song at once because it's all the same song coming through. So this repurpose. This area will have an office for the chorus room, so they'll have an office for both of these classrooms, which will be nice to have an area where they can actually do planning and everything. We have specialized here. It's a more specialized band room for individual or small group instruction, which was one of the requests that we had. So we've worked that into the plan. We have a data closet on this side for the IT. Everything else is centralized in the hub, at a remote location. We're going to bring a lot of that to the office area, and then since it's so far away, we've requested that another data closet be placed over here for efficiency and so they can better maintain that IT system. Because as it grows and as everything progresses, there's the IT is just going to get more and more complex. We want to make sure we account for that going forward. We did keep a few small shelves out here, and that's basically going to be to collect bags that were taken away from the stage area. So we did account for that when we were planning this. But the really big portion of this is getting these walls in here and really trying to isolate the sounds in the rooms that they are intended for. Is there anything else you want to highlight on that one, Mike?
No, Kelly, you already took care of it. That
Okay.
center left room, that's music excels. Sometimes we just need a room for 3 saxophones or just the flutes. And
Right.
That allows
Yeah.
all 3 pieces to happen at the same time.
Yep. So yeah. So this, like we said, this is more of the specialized one-on-one small group music, and then this is the storage area for the gymnasium, which we are keeping the same area. We're squaring off that portion of it. So in theory, they should have more storage, getting this squared area that you can have more shelving on. But storage is always what everybody needs, and it's always the first thing to go when you're trying to plan. So we're trying to keep everything at least to what we have it now and just reutilize as best we can. So, all right, so we'll move on here. And this is the locker room area. This is getting pretty extensively modified just due to the fact that the use is so much different today and for this school as when it was designed and built, when it was the high school for the district. As has been indicated before, there were gang showers all through here and the gang toilet pods in here. Really underused, if used at all now. It's become a lot of storage space. So what we've proposed here is to actually renovate all of those shower and bathroom pods through here and create both accessible bathrooms for all the locker rooms, as well as accessible bathrooms for a new workout area that would be intended for use by both the students during class, if it was part of the curriculum to go in and work with these machines, and also for staff to be able to have available to go in and use. And those would have men's and women's bathrooms with showers. So they could also be used for officials' locker rooms in the event that there's something where we'd have to have officials that would need the ability to change and shower at the facility. We'd be able to handle that. We do propose to get in some impact-resistant windows coming through here for the offices and the exercise room, if that's going to be part of a curriculum during gym time. The teachers would be able to observe everything in here, inside and out while the class is going on. Over here is that repurposed. This is the locker room that we actually went into, and it's going to be repurposed as 2 smaller visitor locker rooms. As I said, they're not overly, there's not a lot of use to these, but we did want to have that availability in case in the future there ends up being more meets and more events where we'd need to utilize these. Yep. Right. If any expansion of sports, we'd need to be able to accommodate whatever comes through. We don't want to be caught without what we need in the future after we do all this work here. So this is an elevation of what that wall would look like from the gymnasium, this wall here. So we'd have some upgraded equipment through there. Our new windows that would be set in. We try to be saving as much bulletin board space as we can out there. They utilize that quite a bit for notifications and for class information. So we try to maintain that as much as possible through here. If I missed anything on that one, kind of ran through it. Okay. All right. And then this is just an elevation of the exterior of the school, like we've talked about. This is the area where we had that secondary entrance that was just all glass and aluminum frame right now. We bring that into something more similar to what we have for the rest of the school, and a lot more efficient than what's out there now. Have upgraded security on these doors. This is that vestibule that's going to be set in and is the new main entrance. It's going to be a similar setup from the look of it as it is now, with the doors at the exterior. You'll be buzzed in, and then when you get to the interior of the vestibule, you'll be able to see right through a ticket window to the office, and from there they'll be able to buzz you in from there, or check you in and get you whatever you need. If you don't need to be inside the school, then they'll be able to pass you things through that window, and not have to have you come in and disrupt anything on the interior of the school or the office. So, and this shows the window layout that we have for that bump out, and it's really just dictated by the spaces we have proposed in there. I wanted to make sure everybody who gets an office in here has some natural light, and we don't have anybody doubled up in offices here, and it's a lot more friendly to the working environment here now. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it. I'm not going to go that way. Can I close this cover? Great. Okay, so I'm going to just run down through a few checklist items with you. First of all, the process, it involves site studies. Those have been done at the elementary schools as well as the middle school. It involves information to the Facilities and Finance Subcommittee, many of the members here tonight, and that has already happened. Recommendation to the Board of Directors about renovations to a replacement Lebanon Elementary School, as you may have seen on the website for BCTV. Also the expansion of North Berwick Elementary, the expansion of Hussey Elementary, and the completion of the renovations that we've begun in phases 1 and 2 here at the middle school. So those recommendations have been made. We have also done the two architect requests for questions, walkthroughs, site visits, and have a number of interested parties. We have been investigating state financing. There is a thing called a revolving renovation fund. The state may have up to $50 million in the revolving renovation fund. However, there is zero funding currently available in that. There was zero funding in 2018, and we're not projected to see any funds added to that at this time. And that revolving renovation fund would take care of things like asbestos abatement that we need to finish off here at the middle school, whether it's in ceiling tiles or whether it's in floor tiles, so forth. And it can also help with some roofing pieces for us. So that would be a really good boost in this case with the renovations, except it's unavailable. So the second fund to look at is new construction fund for the state. An example would be that the state approved the $92 million approximately for the Sanford High School, Sanford Regional Vocational Technical Center, almost completely constructed on state dollars, as was Noble High School, $34 million back in when it was approved. I believe it was 1997 originally qualified for the new construction fund, and at the time that $34 million was the most expensive building project in a school project in state history. So you can see that from that 34 million move forward to in a little bit more decades, and there's a $92 million school. And I did hear about another school that is being looked at that's over $100 million. So the prices have changed a little bit. We also have presentations to the community. Voila. We have the main bond bank process that we're paying close attention to. I'd like to thank Denise Van Kampen for keeping us apprised of that information. There's a 6-month cycle that we need to get into for the main bond bank. There is a public referendum that our goal is to be ready for a referendum by November of 2020. So sometimes people in the public might be given to saying, why are we even talking about this? This is a done deal. There's no done deal. The state has to approve this, all of this work, or any parts of this work, and the main bond bank cycle has to be taken care of, and the public has to say, we support that work. The funding for it, though, would likely have to come from the local taxpayers because we do not qualify for, what's the phrase I need here? What is the, we don't have, a debt circuit breaker. Yeah, so the debt service that we have left over is 1 more year's payment on Noble High School. That's it. After that, we'll be free and clear in one sense. The reason that Noble High School qualified in the first place in '97 is because the district owed on the, what was referred to as Noble 6, the Elks School. It owed on Huzzy Elementary, North Berwick Elementary, and Hanson Elementary. So the district was over a circuit breaker that the state sets and then qualified for the funding. We do not come close to any sort of funding at this point. But we will continue to look for those options. So just in closing, I would like to thank Terry Wright and BCTV for being our gracious camera person throughout these meetings. I'd like to thank the members of the Facilities and Finance Committee for their time and energy. I'd also like to thank the members of the public who may be watching some of these broadcasts. Please come out and send us questions, ask questions about what's going on, look for ways to participate. We look forward to community support and making sure that people understand exactly what we're doing. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.